When you're doing, like regular stuff, like going to the office, just regular stuff, um, you definitely will feel the hunger. Like you just have to keep your mind away of it, but it's not gonna affect like how you perform your daily responsibilities.
It was just the other day. I was relaxing, chilling, and in the middle of the day you're working and then you're bored. And I was scrolling through the reels on Instagram, and then I saw something that happened in a football match in 2022, where during Ramadan, uh, the the referee stopped a Bundesliga match so that men's defender Musa Naikate could break fast. Like he had at least he was able to drink some water,
Mm-hmm.
then drank like a sports juice, a Gatorade, and then ate like those energy bars
Yeah.
so that he could continue with the game. Which
Mm-hmm.
for me, I felt like uh, that's something that's very, how can I say, utu. Like I was like, that is very humane for the referee. And then I did some more research, and I found out that in 2021, in a match between Leicester City and Crystal Palace, the referee also stopped a match so that two players could break their fast. And looking into it, I realized that it's when you search such news, it's it's just those two stories that are coming up. And I remember that I realized that we've had teams like I'm a Manu fan, and we've had Muslim players. Even right now, we have Muslim players in the team. And I remember Uh, Pogba had to leave the match. One game we're playing, had to run to the dressing room for 5 minutes to break his fast and then come back. And luckily it was close to halftime, so his halftime break started early. And I was wondering, so I came to you early with question asking like, uh, number one, shouldn't the Premier League or these soccer matches that are playing during Ramadan consider that they change the timing of when the games are played, play the games when the players are broken first? At least time normal day games make games to be late at night or late in the evening after they've broken the fast. And then also another thought that I had was, um, Ali, you're a Muslim, you fasted majority of your life.
Mm-hmm.
When you're fasting, I know most people will just say it's switching your eating calendar, but does your body perform at normal optimal levels like it will on regular days, or do you feel like you're sluggish or you have to do something extra to maintain yourself while you're maintaining? And for a sportsman, is it viable for them to perform at optimal 90 minutes playing while they're fasting?
Wow, these are very deep questions that some of which I've contemplated and some that I've not. But I'm gonna get started before we get to that one of should, like for example, the European League change their calendars. Well, that I'm gonna talk about shortly. But as far as how the body performs, especially if you're fasting daily, which means your daily intake of food is not the same. Like if you are, let's say, consuming, normally you would consume, let's just say for example 2000 calories in a day. Most likely in Ramadan you're gonna consume about a third of that, even if you try to eat a lot. Like one thing that when you're fasting is that your digestive system compresses, and even when you're breaking your fast, even if in your mind you're like, I'm gonna have all the 3 meals I could have had, you'll very quickly realize that your digestive system will not accept that. As far as your body performing optimally, when you're doing like regular stuff, like going to the office, just regular stuff, you definitely will feel the hunger. Like you just have to keep your mind away of it, but it's not gonna affect like how you perform your daily responsibilities. It's not gonna affect that. It's a very mental game. So as long as you don't think about it too much, it's not gonna affect you. Now, as far as intensive physical activity, like in high school when we would go play sports and you're fasting, it definitely has a certain effect when you're doing intense physical activity, especially when it comes to the dehydration part. Because remember, fast ya Waislamu, it's not an intermittent fast, it's a spiritual fast, so it's a dry fast. So you don't have an option of drinking water. Drinking water is not an option. It's a dry fast, both food and water. So for the physically intensive activities, it definitely has an impact. I personally think for someone who intensively plays sports has to have a program how they're going to be eating throughout the time that we're allowed to eat, from whatever time, if it's from 6 or from 7 to 4 or 5 p.m. They need to have a system where they will gradually eat to sustain the energy throughout the day. And I think it's important to talk to your coach about this. I think in the previous world, a lot of times Muslim players would just fast. They would not talk about it because there was already this issue that people are antsy about Muslims. So people would do it silently. But I think it's important to talk to your coach, especially if you're in an event, in an activity that involves performance. And a lot of these big teams have nutritionists who can actually help you. I know in the NFL, you've had players who fasted, and the NFL is also very intensive. The advantage with the NFL is that you're playing and stopping. Unlike soccer, where you're playing continuously for 90, 100, up to 120 minutes. So I think it's important to talk to the coach and to talk to the person in the team involved with nutrition, and they're usually very good. Of late, zamani, players used to be told, hakuna kufunga, you'll perform, hautaperform vizuri. But now, a lot of coaches are very sensitive to this. I don't know of any coach who will tell a player, try not to fast so that we don't lose a game. They will try to work with them, on the nutrition side. But basically, towards the end of the day, you do start, especially in cases where there is physical activity, you will start feeling that depletion of energy. See, you will not die. No one has ever died from fasting, but you'll surely start feeling that depletion of energy. So it might be a good idea, if a league knows they have Muslim players and there are games that are happening during the time when fast is being broken, to have an accommodation for that.
Shakahola, don't forget, sorry.
Okay. No, wachana sorry, Shakahola. You hapo si fasting. But Mika, I'm not sure whether you've gotten my response. I'm not sure if it was clear enough.
No, your response is pretty clear enough. I just wanted to hear what is the opinion of the other guys in the studio. Like OneMic, what do you think? Should there be a shift in the calendar? Should they be? Usually most of the time, games these days are dictated by TV. When a team is playing, the airing time. So, and I believe the Muslim part of the world is also a big consumer of football. So, as an honor or as respect, should that calendar be considerate of major holidays like major religious time events like Ramadan?
Omosh, or
I don't think they should. And the reason why I say that is that traditionally, I mean, if we're talking about it now, I guess to me, I don't know, maybe I'll wear that hat that says we are overly sensitive these days about things. With that said, I'm trying to remember even growing up how the athletes in school, if it's sports day, if it fell during Ramadan or whatever, they all performed. And it didn't seem like fasting made them less sharp or it made them perform less. And I think maybe the issue here would be that at the time when you're supposed to break the fast, if it so happens to be that you're involved in some sport activity or you're involved in some activity, work, or whatever the case may be, does that mean then that you would need to stop so that you break the fast? And I think maybe if Ali can clarify that for us, then that to me would then let me know that, okay, so if you have to stop to go break the fast and have your prayer, then that means you cannot participate if you know that that particular activity is going to run into the breaking of the fast.
Now, this is a very interesting conversation. You know, like, to me, it's very interesting that the world has shifted to a point where you have a lot of people sensitive to this. You know, like, this never used to happen in the olden days. Now, it is like, when it comes to time for breaking fast, it is very important not to delay it, even by a minute. You know, like, when it comes to breaking fast.
Okay.
So there's a prayer that follows, you know, like the breaking of fast, which is the Maghrib prayer. It does have a window. That does have a window. So let's say, like, maybe if this was maybe like 10 minutes before halftime, you can break your fast, and then you can go to the locker room, you know, and say your prayers. The Maghrib time has it's one of the prayers that has a very small window, because it's that window when the sun is setting. In as far as switching calendars around, the reason why I would not necessarily encourage that, even as a Muslim, is because there are so many other people who fast, who are involved in very intensively physical activities, like building roads, working out in the sun for hours, and they don't have that option. And these people still fast. Yeah, these people still fast. So you know, like, to me, maybe if you have a situation where a league where a certain significant majority of the players are Muslim, let's say like in the Saudi league, I'm sure in the Saudi league they have an accommodation for that.
Yes.
You know, I'm sure they have an accommodation for that. But in a place where, to me, I think it should depend on what percentage of players you have that, because you don't want it to be a situation where it's going to start affecting games because certain players can't play. However, most Muslim players that I know, they will fast, they will play. And when you're playing while fasting, you're now working on something called adrenaline. You're working on adrenaline. You're no longer working on
Your
energy.
reserves.
And that adrenaline might give you a boost. We've had teams that were fasting that have beat teams of people that were not fasting.
True.
Yeah. The only one activity the one sporting activity that I doubt you would be able to complete it optimally while fasting is marathons. A marathon is too
What about
intense.
fighting?
Boxing. MMA.
Sasa unajua mimi sijawahi fight. Mika, you are the fighter here.
Tutafute Kasimuma.
I'm in agreement. I think
With fighting, I don't know how much. I know there's a lot of movement in fighting. There's a physical, there's a movement of the feet, and there's a motion of the arms, and I know it's very intense.
Yeah, you
So
know.
let- so let me
most-
make it simple.
Yeah.
So
most
you see
of them
that
get it.
2 minute round sparring for that one round,
Yeah.
right? That is like it takes the same cardiovascular. It takes out of you like somebody who's let's say been jogging at a steady pace for an hour.
Wow. Okay. Then that
2 minutes.
yeah. Okay. Then if it's that intense,
It's
that
intense.
that might be tricky.
Ali, those gloves even get heavy.
but
that might be tricky. Yeah.
but I think for fighting,
Yeah, there's a limit of weight on the glove. The reason the gloves are big like that is so that it's heavy for you to throw a punch, so you calculate the amount of punches you throw. Because if they were light, instead of throwing in let's say in a round somebody has thrown 100 punches, if they were light, that person would be tempted to throw like 500 punches and they get tired faster.
Wow. Okay. That's
interesting.
quite interesting. You know, like as far as fight sports is concerned, to me the one aspect about fight sports that might be okay for most Muslims who are in fight sports is that these fights are scheduled. They're not like soccer games where you're playing every week. So what a fighter is doing every week is training. So they can schedule their training
Yes, that's another
around
thing.
yeah. They can
Around
schedule their
that.
training around that.
and even the match itself.
But now the fights, I think fighters have some level of control over the dates of their fights.
Yes, they do.
And the other thing is that a lot of these fights happen at night.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's also another, I think, another benefit. But I don't know how fasting, like affects you. Like, let's say, for example, on fight day, over someone who's been eating at a certain time. I don't know how that will affect you. I'm a peaceful person. Me, I don't fight.
Interesting. No, I was gonna support you and Omosh. We've just been noticing recently that they usually take water breaks. Like
cooling breaks.
Cooling breaks. Mm-hmm. So, but I don't think it'll take much to allow. Like Mika said, like there are some referees, and I'm sure probably with even the Premier League, that if their games are going on and it is within a fasting window, let us take a minute or take 60. Give the player however long it was. Mika, I think it was the player, the one who moved from Leicester to Chelsea, the defender.
Leicester to Chelsea.
Kukurea?
No, not Bofana.
A defender.
Yeah.
For the Leicester game, I don't remember.
No, not the Leicester game, but there was a player. He was a Leicester player, now he's a Chelsea player. He was a defender. He's a defender.
An African?
Yes, well, he's a French guy, but a Muslim.
Okay.
But there was a break that was given. I think that was the game Mika was referring to.
Yeah.
That the ref gave however long. The guy drank water.
Yeah.
I think ate a banana, something like that, sports drink, and then continued playing.
Okay.
I don't think it should, but if there's space for that, and then also it's the regularity with which we have Ramadan.
Correct.
There's another. That's another. It's not. It doesn't constantly fall
on the same time.
On the same time of the year, whatever.
It goes back 10
It goes
days
back.
So
there's sometimes when there are no games. So I think it's just probably up to the discretion of the leagues to say, kama kuna hii, let's do this.
Yeah.
If one of our players or players are Muslims and they're fasting, let us just honor that. 1 minute won't hurt.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what Ali was saying, like when you're breaking the fast and you have to do the prayers, that you need at least at least 5 minutes, right?
So
Ali?
So the prayer, like especially if you're doing it individually, like that may take you it might be a good 5 minutes. If you're doing like a Jama prayer, like a group prayer, like in the mosque, it takes slightly longer. Because the imam might read, like verses of the Quran that are longer. Yeah. So that's why I think, this is a challenge on Muslim players. They have to prepare themselves. In Islam, we have this concept of, we do not necessarily stop our trade. You do your obligation, be it fasting, be it prayer, but you keep doing whatever business you're doing to feed your family, your regular activity. Yeah, we don't have like a Sabbath concept, because leo ni siku ya ibada, kwa hivyo hakuna kazi. Yeah, so ibada should never stop you from doing your normal day-to-day routine activities, just as long as you also make time for worship.